On this episode of the Whiskey Tornado, I review one of my favorite surprise spirits of the year that most people I talk to don't enjoy. Taste 100 years. Bold rye whiskey fortified with ancient armagnac. Bhakta 1928 embodies the spirit of the roaring 20s, boom times, boundless optimism, and big American dreams. Named 1928 for the oldest vintage in the blend, it also contains 1941, 1962, 1973, and 1996, fusing ancient French armagnacs and calvados to perfect this straight rye whiskey. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Lance. Today, I'm really excited to review something a little different on the channel. Again, this isn't a bourbon, this is a rye that's blended with armagnac and calvados barrels, so it's very unusual. And just to be 100% honest with you, I brought this to a lot of bottle shares and shared it with a lot of people who primarily drink bourbon, and I've found very few people who enjoy this as much as I do. But I had to bring it to you guys because for me personally, I like to go outside of bourbon. I love rye, I like scotch, I like a little bit of everything. I don't want to just hone in on the bourbon category. And this is just a beautiful dessert pour, I'll tell you right from the beginning. And I think it's something that I had to do a review on the channel because nobody's talking about it. And when I find something that my personal palate really thinks is special, I want to bring that to you guys. So this is a $65 bottle. We'll get a pour of it real quick. This is a beautiful bottle. Now, the owner of Bhakta was formerly the owner of Whistle Pig. If you know anything about Whistle Pig, great marketing, insanely high prices. I used to never buy Whistle Pig because it was just overpriced Canadian whiskey, in my opinion. The owner of Bhakta is, if you watch his things on Instagram and Facebook, he sells this stuff beautifully. Just listening to him talk makes you want to buy it. I love the concept and marketing behind mixing old vintages of, 1920s, 1940s, so you can taste what things were like back then. So this is a very unique, I think this is sourced MGP rye, and then, blended with those calvados and armagnac barrels. So for those that don't know, calvados is apple brandy, armagnac is grape brandy. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna nose this, I'll taste it for you guys, and then I'll let you know whether I think this is a buy or pass based on if you're a beginner, intermediate, aficionado, bourbon drinker. And then we'll also tell you guys whether I think this is worth getting an extra backup or two and bunkering some bottles in case it's no longer made. Obviously, it's not going to be made very long with vintages that old blended in here. Granted, we're talking, 5%. So it's not much, but still. The nose on this, guys, is just absolutely beautiful to me. It's really dark and rich, like dried sugared apricots on the nose. There's some tobacco notes there. And then a lot of times, I don't know if this is 95.5 rye. I assume it is, and I assume that it's sourced from MGP, but again, I don't know. I assume it could be Canadian rye, since the owner was formerly a Whistle Pig, but I don't think so. I think I heard this is MGP, and if it's that 95.5 rye, it does have those kind of citrusy, lemon lime, Sprite kind of notes I often get on young MGP 95.5 rye. No dill or anything like that. No off-putting notes like that on this. But, that dark, rich, dried apricots, tobacco, and then that citrusy rye is there on the nose. It's a beautiful nose. It gets you excited for what you're about to taste. So with that, let's get into it. Cheers. First sip, the calvados, I think, really shines. It's almost like a grape kind of bubblegum note with those citrus undertones from the rye. So let's go. The one thing I will say, the finish is pretty short. It went away really quick. It's making me want to jump right back into the glass. So second sip. Lots of vanilla on the second sip from, I'm assuming from the rye, but still those kind of grape notes are there. And then kind of like dark fruits, almost like a plum note on the finish there. Really beautiful, almost desserty for me. This would be like a dessert pour. This would actually be wonderful after dinner to sit down and just have a glass of it as a dessert pour. So let's go into third sip. The more you drink this, I will say, you kind of notice that it is a little bit thin. I'd want there to be a little bit more weight there. It's not off-putting. For $65, I still think it's fantastic. There's lots of good concentration of flavors. The calvados and the armagnac definitely shine through. So I think if you're like a big bourbon drinker, you only drink bourbon and you don't like rye, this is going to be very awkward to you. And to people I've given it to in blinds, when they taste this, they're really thrown off and they're not fans of it. I think you have to be ready. You have to be prepared to know what you're going in for. And then even then, if you highly gravitate towards bourbons, I don't think this is going to be your jam. I would try this in a bar before you buy it. And again, I don't think there's too many cases of these, so this review isn't going to get a lot of views, but that's not what I do reviews for. For you guys that are faithful to the channel, that watch the channel a lot, when I find something I love, I will do a review on it, whether it's going to get a lot of views or not, for the few of you that watch these regularly. So let's get into another sip here. Yeah, that dark kind of grape skin, bubblegum kind of note, tobacco, those notes are still there. It's a dessert pour that's super crushable, not a long finish. It goes away pretty quick with that 100 proof and makes you want to drink more of it, but it's really easy to sip, man. This is crushable and sweet, and if you like armagnac and calvados and those kind of things, I would give this a shot. I would definitely give this a shot. But if you're not a rye guy, if you don't like that 95.5 MGP rye, and you don't like things that veer off from the normal path of bourbon, this is probably one you're not gonna like. It's gonna kind of shock you a little bit when you taste it, but I think it's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. All right, so let's get into whether this is a buy or pass. For beginners, I would say that this is a pass. Most beginners aren't huge rye fans to begin with, and I think this is just going to be too different and too out there for most of you. That being said, if you see it in a bar and you are curious about the flavor notes I gave you on the palate, I would go ahead and buy a glass and see if you like it. For intermediate and bourbon aficionados, I think this is a buy, but it has a huge asterisk with it. If you find yourself gravitating only towards bourbon, this is going to be out there in left field. Again, a lot of bourbon nerds that I've been on barrel picks with that I've given this to have not liked it. So I'm saying this just to be completely transparent. Most people do not share my view on this bottle, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. I think you should hunt these down. And on the topic of whether it's a bunker bottle or not, absolutely, I would buy a case of these and put them in the bunker, because it's going to be gone. It's got super old vintage, even though it's not much, 5%. But we're talking, 1928, 41, 62, 73, and 96 vintage armagnac blended into this. It's just a beautiful bottle that I absolutely love. I just don't think as many people share my opinion on it. But that's what makes this great. If I just did videos where I just repeated everything everyone else on WhiskeyTube said, it wouldn't be worth your time. So I would say run out, find a bottle of this for $65, take the chance on it. And if you don't like it, call me. Maybe I can get it from you. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please hit the like button. Give me a comment below. Let me know whether you've tasted this or not. Also, if you want to help support the channel, you can go to our Patreon. Link is in the description below. You can join for as little as $2 a month. I do all my barrel picks through our charity organization, Barrels for Hope. The link for that is also in the description below. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for the support, and we will see you on the next review. Cheers, everybody.